Hello and welcome to this special edition of Podtoid. Our show is set to return next week, but before the whole crew comes back, we wanted to put together this little mini episode of the show that's dedicated entirely to Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. The ninth film in the Star Wars saga opened before Christmas and has grossed more than $700 million worldwide and counting. There is a lot to unpack for this film, and we didn't want to wait. So this episode of Podtoid is touching on nothing but our show within a show. It is time for Spoilsport.
Star Wars, nothing but Star Wars. Give me the Star
It's a much better theme song, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, this is Spoilsport, and today I am joined by Occams. Occams, how are you doing?
I'm all right, buddy. How you doing?
Doing well. I'm off work. It's the evening hour. I'm full of energy instead of in the morning just trying to wake up. So this is, if only we could record all episodes at this time.
I certainly understand.
Yeah. So it's been a little over 2 weeks since The Rise of Skywalker released, and if you haven't seen it yet, you'll want to turn off this podcast because we're going to spoil everything. The entire plot will be talked about and debated, and Occams, I'm very interested to see what you think of this film and to see if we agree or disagree on it.
All right, Gene, let's go.
Gene, okay. I guess we'll find our answer soon enough, so let's just get right into things. I keep on saying Rise of the Skywalker, and I'm going to say that throughout the show, so I apologize now, as if the Skywalker is a thing.
Is it Rise of, what's the title of the movie?
Rise of Skywalker.
Oh, really? Because I've been saying Rise of the Skywalker, too. Like, outside of this podcast. That's interesting.
We're both terrible. It's the same thing like I did with Joker, where I kept saying the Joker.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's we focus in on the character, but yeah, I get it.
Yeah. Anyway, so Rise of Skywalker. Movie starts, opening crawl, announcing the return of Palpatine. And Occams, I'm sure you can remember how many times the return of Palpatine was hinted at in all the films that led up to this. Abrams swears this was the plan all along.
Bull fucking shit. Man, they watched those old movies and had 4 names in a hat and drew Palpatine. All 4 names are Palpatine, by the way.
So the first scene, you have the opening crawl, yada, yada, yada. And the first scene is like this very beautifully shot sequence with Kylo Ren just smoking these fools on some unknown planet so he can get the Sith Wayfinder, which is one of the many MacGuffins throughout this movie.
I thought that was a holocron. Which is and allow me to be nerdy for a second, but the Jedi and the Sith back in the day had all these were essentially thumb drives with home movies on them, but they're like ancient shit, so they're crystals. They had all the recorded knowledge of Jedi and stuff and Sith before them. I thought that's what that was at first because it looks just like one of them.
Well, that's from the prequel trilogy, right?
Yeah, and I mean, for the books, that's mostly where I know them from. The books and stuff like that, and some of the old games.
So everything that J.J. Abrams would have tried to avoid making these movies. Pretty much.
Yes.
So he gets the Sith Wayfinder, finds his way to Exegol, which is a planet in the unknown regions that is the home planet of the Sith, and it's where somehow Emperor Palpatine has been kept alive by a cult of followers after Vader threw him into the second Death Star engine at the end of Return of the Jedi. And see, I'm making that mistake again.
Yeah, it's going to be the whole show. And that's the Palpatine coming back as clones and stuff. That's all from the books.
Yeah.
There was young Palpatine in one of the books, all that shit. And it was, I did love Exegol, which definitely sounds like an erectile dysfunction medicine. I really, really liked the look of it, that weird sort of Blade Runner meets limbo kind of building thing, it was off the ground kind of. I liked the way the planet looked.
Yeah.
But then you go in there and just everything is just dark and there's a bunch of fucking Snokes in a can.
Yeah, that was my favorite thing. The Snokes in a can.
Yeah.
Although it says peanuts on the side, but when you open it, all those Snokes pop out at you.
Yeah, really. It's just Snokes look like a progeria baby grew up.
Oh yeah. So Snokes in a can. We learn at this point that it wasn't Snoke who turned Kylo Ren to the dark side, but no, it was actually Emperor Palpatine working through Snoke. This was like the very first of many moments where J.J. Abrams was just going to walk back everything that happened in The Last Jedi.
Very much so.
Putting it so that Palpatine was at the forefront of everything, working in the shadows. That was totally planned from the beginning. So anyways, Palpatine sends Kylo Ren on a mission to finally kill Rey, who is continuing her training to be a Jedi with her new Jedi Master, stock footage of Carrie Fisher.
Oh, okay. Now this part made me physically uncomfortable because there were clearly scenes like where Rey is hugging someone. And like it's just some dialogue from Carrie Fisher, and I'm just like, oh no, cool. You really didn't have a lot to use, did you, JJ?
No,
yeah,
no, they did not.
That was really rough, and I've heard that apparently the plan was for her to die from the beginning before she actually died. And they would have had more clearly like the Jedi training thing. That was going to be more of a scene with the awkward. With her, like her and Luke training, but they're young again. The memory thing, and that she stopped because she did. Yeah. I know I jump around. But it was. I think they did the best as they could with that. That was rough. That was really rough.
Honestly, to me, throughout this entire film, every time Leia was on screen, it was like the episode of The Simpsons of the Radioactive Man movie, where after they film it, when Milhouse runs off. Like that's basically about, to me, how smoothly she was inserted into this movie. Because boy, and you're right what you said at the beginning, they did not have a lot of footage to work with.
When they said like, oh, we filmed some of it, I thought, oh, okay, well maybe there's something. Yeah, I mean they must have had maybe 15 minutes of footage, like usable footage actually in the movie, and they had to make it into like 25, and it was boy. There's a lot of scenes of Rey hugging somebody. I just noticed that.
Actually, I think it was far less than that. She was barely in this movie, and usually it was just for her to like give some exposition on what's happening, and then go right back to the gang. So
or Deus Ex Machina the fuck out of her son.
Yeah. I appreciate the attempt. Although the end result is not anywhere near what I was hoping it would be, especially because they built it up for so long that, don't worry, we have more footage of Carrie Fisher you haven't seen yet. Footage of her being hugged from behind by Rey.
God. Oh, man. That's...
Yeah. So anyways, Rey is training with... stock footage Carrie Fisher, while Finn and Poe go on this mission to a really dope-looking iceberg planet or iceberg city or something, whatever it is. And they're retrieving some intel about a Sith Wayfinder, and soon enough, Rey, Finn, Poe, Chewie, 3PO, and BB-8 are off looking for a map that will lead them to the Emperor, and if that sounds a lot like the plotline of The Force Awakens, you are correct. The first stop is the planet Pasana, I guess. I'd have to watch the movie again to get the exact pronunciation of it.
Oh, you mean Burning Man?
Yes, Burning Man planet. In the desert, lots of colors, celebration going on. People look creepy. It sounds like Burning Man to me.
Yep.
So while ducking out some stormtroopers on this planet, the gang comes across Lando Calrissian, who is back for this film, and he was sent by Leia to help them out and also, I guess, seduce some ladies, because that's what Lando Calrissian does.
He looked, every scene in this film, he looked like he just woke up. He really did. It's just, all right, Chewie, let's go. It just, oh my God, it was great. And that was a perfect Lando Calrissian impression, by the way. Yes. Listeners who are not agreeing with me right now
can shut up. Yeah.
It was. I felt for him because I felt like out of all the original crew, it was him and Chewie to be left. And like, is it like not the actor, but like the character? I felt like, oh man, all your friends are dead, and you didn't really get to see him too much. And I felt bad for him on that.
Yeah, it's a shame it took them so long to bring him back into these movies.
Yeah.
Like, there's really very little reason why he couldn't have been part of the Resistance from the beginning, other than they didn't want to have that many characters in. So who knows? If there's one thing I've learned from watching this film, it's that there was no overall plan for this trilogy.
Which is insane to me. I don't understand that. I don't. I mean, do you think it was hubris? Hubris? Yeah, whatever that word.
Hubris. I'll give a theory on it later because someone else. I was reading a discussion of it, and they probably hit the nail on the head with what they said, and it's exactly what I agree with. So I'll touch on that a little bit later. But hubris is part of it, I would think, and also J.J. Abrams shouldn't be allowed to write. So anyways, Lando Calrissian, he points them in the direction of a ship that could hold a wayfinder, and after a brief chase sequence, the gang ends up underground where we learn that Rey's Jedi powers now allow her to heal wounds. And when this sequence was happening, I was trying to remember if she did that in the last film or if I was just like confusing this with another sci-fi movie.
Okay, I had that same problem, only for me, I was thinking like, wasn't this in a video game? Wasn't this on like one of the Jedi Knights? Like you can like force heal? I'm pretty sure.
It might be.
I spent a lot of time watching this movie plotting it like it was a video game because it felt very video gamey to me. We can discuss that later, but it just sort of, as I was watching it, I went, oh my God, these are levels.
Yeah. I'm not going to, and actually there's a point I made to Necro, who's one of the moderators on our site, that actually pulls right into that. So yeah, we'll talk about that later. So anyways, she heals this weird snake creature and gets to the ship to find that it doesn't have a wayfinder, but it has a dagger, MacGuffin number 2, that is supposed to tell the location of another wayfinder, but it's written in Sith text and none of them can read it, except, wait, they have a robot with them that can translate any language. Then, twist! It's the one language C-3PO is forbidden from translating. How far were your eyes in the back of your head at this point?
Little
story beat.
Really, at this point, I kind of tuned out a little bit. I saw it with a friend of mine, and I was mostly just like thinking about what I was going to have for dinner that night. And hey, sure, yeah, of course, it's like the one language. And like, why do the Sith need their own language? Like the Jedi don't have their own language. They just speak, English or, Earth Common or whatever Galactic speak. Why do the Sith need their own language? It's like the Benedictine monks are all like, hey, check out the tits on that lady, but it's in their language, so no one knows they're pervs.
I just imagine all the stuff written on the bathroom walls of a Sith temple and just these weird markings.
Yeah. Oh, that. Oh no, we can get to that later. Sorry, I'm jumping around. Go ahead.
No, that's okay. So, anyways, find this dagger. C-3PO can't translate it. During this time, Kylo Ren finds his way to them, and we get 2 pretty exciting action sequences in a row. The first has Kylo charging Rey in his starfighter, and this was in the trailer, so it doesn't have as big of an impact when you see it on the big screen, because I've seen it like 19 times before this. But she's able to disable it with her lightsaber in a very well-timed jump. It's a really great moment. And then the second moment is that Chewie gets captured by stormtroopers. And as they take off in the transporter, Rey uses her force abilities to kind of pull the ship back down to the planet. But this is when Kylo Ren emerges from his downed starfighter and uses his force powers to let the ship take off. And so there's this tug of war between them. And after some back and forth, Rey lets loose with some lightning out of her hands and single-handedly destroys the ship, killing Chewie. Occams, what did you think of Chewie's death here?
I thought it was bullshit because I knew it was. Yeah, I was like, okay. I thought it was interesting she had Force Lightning. I thought like, oh, okay, well, that's fun. Because that is clearly a Dark Jedi. Dark Jedi get the best powers, though.
They really do.
Get the Force Lightning. That's the coolest fucking ability. Yeah, but no, I was like, nope, that didn't happen. Because they're not going to just like, they're not going to do that to Chewbacca. And
yeah, I mean, my thought was that's a kind of, considering the deaths that other characters have got, it was very underwhelming for someone who has been in all of the films up to this point.
Yeah.
It's not like what's his fucking It's a Trap guy. Like, I don't care if he dies in 2 seconds.
See, that one fucking bummed me out. Okay, I loved Admiral Akbar. That's
really?
Not like operational. I love Admiral Akbar. Now this ties into I have a dear friend who one of my fondest memories of him is just him getting drunk and doing Admiral Akbar impressions. So I'm clearly have an emotional connection to that. But I just, for some reason, big squid-headed dude, kind of like when Michael Scott's doing an impression. Like that's kind of my impression of Admiral Akbar. But I was sad to see him go in such a nonchalant manner. Now, if they had killed Nien Nub, remember Nien Nub, right?
Oh, God, yes,
vagina
Nien
face.
Nub.
Yeah. If they'd killed Nien Nub like that, I would have found them all and set fire to their homes. Nien Nub is very near and dear to me.
Noted. So Chewie is dead, and then 5 minutes later we learn, psych, he's alive because there was another transporter on the planet that you just didn't see.
What the fuck was that? Like, how did they just? Because it was like they didn't even. It was just the other transport, the one that like they didn't see. That was directly to the left of when they watched fucking Chewbacca get marched into the transport. Like, what was that? Why?
You see, in the ultra super high definition, super ultra widescreen version, it'll add 4 more inches to the picture, and you'll see it take off in the distance.
Yeah, but you have to pre-order it today to get the Funko Pop.
Yeah, and who I can't imagine. I'd like to know between J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio, the co-writers of this movie, is who thought that was acceptable, who thought that was good screenwriting, because it's not.
I have no clue. Yeah, and it just it bummed me out because I thought I wasn't happy that I was like, well, first off, I was like, well, Chewbacca's not dead. That's not how they're going to kill Chewbacca if they kill him at all.
Yeah,
Chewbacca's a guy, right?
I think so.
Yeah,
he has a wife in the holiday special.
Yeah. Happy Life Day.
Happy Life Day. So while all of this is happening, by the way, Rose Tico is getting 0 screen time as file footage Leia just gives some exposition to Charlie from Lost before falling into a coma.
Oh, that
is
was
a
so
real
sad.
sentence.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, that bummed me out because like, they're just like, oh no, I just stay behind to like look at plans. Like, ooh, that's.
And that is point number 2 of J.J. Abrams trying to undo The Last Jedi, just minimizing her role as much as he can. So we learn that Chewie is alive. The gang goes to the planet Kijimi, I think, where Poe used to hang, used to roll, used to be a scavenger or a Spice trader, that's right. Spice runner. And we're introduced to Zori Bliss, who is played by Kerry Russell, and who doesn't do the slightest fucking thing in this movie. She literally adds nothing, not a goddamn thing. Yeah. But we're also introduced to Babu Frick, who is the greatest, and the movie should have just focused on him from that point on.
Real quick, just to make sure we're on the same page. That's the little dude, the droid tamperer guy.
Yes, that's the. That's my impression of him.
That's so good. Okay, for the folks who haven't seen this movie, why are you listening to this podcast? Because we're spoiling the whole thing. But we appreciate you listening to this podcast. Imagine if Baby Yoda had a Polish uncle. That is what this little dude is. He looks like he looks like Abe Vigoda. I'm full of these tonight. Just humor me. He looks like Abe Vigoda, and the little baby alien from Flight of the Navigator had a kid. He is so amazing, and I spent every when he came on the screen and started talking, my heart just swelled with joy. Every time he appeared, the few brief scant moments in the movie were literally for me the best parts of the movie because I loved him so much. He was so tiny and wonderful, and oh my god, yeah, he was amazing. And the movie would have been so much better had he been the Emperor Palpatine character. Had he been the main bad guy.
I 100% agree. Babu Frick is great. I want his action figure. I want his plush. Fuck Baby Yoda. Give me Babu Frick.
Amen to that.
Yeah. So anyway, Babu Frick goes to and erases C-3PO's programming and a memory, and so he says goodbye to all the people he considers to be his friend, even though they're awful to him in every fucking one of these movies. They're terrible to C-3PO.
Yeah, they really shit on C-3PO a lot. And for I don't think they realize, man, this droid has been around for all of it, and knew these people, the history, the legacy. It's C-3PO and R2D2 kind of recorded the history of this whole thing, and they're just shitting on this robot for no, I don't know why. Like droids kind of get the except BB-8 and then that little whatever
Dio
yeah,
to Zero, something like that.
yeah, the
Do
heavily abused droid who was like afraid to be touched.
yeah. Which, by the way, is a great parallel. That here is this robot that was heavily abused, and here they are abusing C-3PO right in front of him.
Yeah, yeah, right.
What a wonderful message to send to this droid.
God.
So Babu Fricareese is programming a memory, and that enables them to get the coordinates to where the Wayfinder is. Now, around this time, Kylo Ren tracks the team down and starts exploring the planet of Kijimi. And while he's down there, the gang actually goes up to his Star Destroyer because that's where Chewie is being held. After a forced phone call and lightsaber duel between Kylo and Rey, we learn the big truth of Rey's heritage. Dun dun dun!
She's John Benet Ramsey.
Yes, that is where she has been this entire time. She is not, in fact, from a family of nobodies. She is the granddaughter of Emperor Palpatine, which means it is now canon that Palpatine fucks.
That is the single biggest takeaway from this film for me, was that Emperor Palpatine got his dick wet.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he like went to a Sith fertility clinic. I mentioned this on Twitter earlier to somebody. It was like, the idea of the Sith fertility clinic is like the little jizz cup is like made of pure onyx. And like the receptionist is like a Sith battle droid that looks like a giant snake with needle arms and a little nurse hat on. You know, everything's black. But I don't like how.
Yeah, and see, I've wanted to go back and do the math because I'm trying to figure out what did Palpatine look like at the point that he fucked. Was he old Senator Palpatine, or was he wrinkly old ass motherfucking lightning shooting from hands wearing a dingy ass robe Emperor Palpatine at this point?
I really hope he's like the lightning shooting from hands Palpatine, and he's just got a tiny like outie belly button of a penis.
And I mean, it raises a whole bunch of questions, like
it really
who
does.
fucked him?
Oh, I don't think anybody did that by choice. I think somebody was like stapled to a table. You know, there's no way no one's riding his dick. No one is doing that. Now I know as a young man he was like handsome. Like I remember that. And then, again, I'm going back to the comics and the books and stuff. But I remember I can see in my head what he like looked like in his 20s and 30s, and he looked just like kind of a handsome, if not like maybe like a guy who would be a young Republican today, but not in the way they all look like their dad. But
yeah,
they're
he looks
20.
like a Tory.
Yeah, he looks like a Tory. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. That's canon now, and it can never not be canon. So, anyways, at this point, go ahead.
So apologies if you can hear my cat. By the way, she's being a bitch.
That's fine.
And you know he doesn't eat pussy. You know he doesn't, right? Like no Sith eats pussy. No Sith is fucking licking it before they kick it.
His pickup line is, "I'm a gentleman, so I'll let you go down on me first." It's also in this point we get an extremely brief appearance from General Hux, who has become a spy for the Resistance because he hates Kylo Ren so much. But he's then quickly killed as J.J. Abrams decides he'd rather focus on people loyal to Palpatine than fully develop General Hux's story arc, because God forbid you develop any more than 2 character story arcs.
I first off, the guy who the How to Get Ahead in Advertising, that guy, General, or the main Sithy dude, not Sithy, but you know, Imperial guy.
Yeah,
I have no clue what his name is.
I think it's Dominhall something.
Oh yeah. He in reality is like one of. He seems. I've seen him on Twitter and just in interviews, and he seems so lovely and has a really really huge love of Barbara Streisand. So like I saw a video of him meeting her, and like he was crying. He was so happy. So it was hilarious to me to see him play this character because he just looks like the warmest, happiest. I see pictures of him and his kids. You know, and then he's playing this guy. I did like how he straight up gangster fucking murdered Hux, but it really was like it really was a thing where it's like, no, we're not gonna. Why have this be a thing anymore? It served its purpose. You know,
yeah.
Okay.
That's at that point. It's basically J.J. Abrams like, I have no role for this character. What can I possibly do to get him off screen? Just because it would be weird to not have him in the film at this point. So anyways, with the coordinates from 3PO and Chewie safely rescued, the gang heads for Kef Bir, which is a planet where parts of the second Death Star crashed. It's here we meet Jannah, who, like Finn, is a former stormtrooper, and just like Finn, that story angle is never explored in the slightest. Using the dagger they found earlier, Rey is able to pinpoint where on the ship the Wayfinder is, and makes her way to the throne room where she confronts a dark side version of herself.
Real quick.
Yeah.
I need to point out that little bullshit ass like compass dagger thing. all they fucking did was take the Finding Stone from the Goonies.
I wrote that down in my notes. Like, she uses this little compass like she's a fucking Goonie.
Yeah, that's all they did. That was so stupid. That was so fucking stupid. Oh my God.
I literally started laughing in the theaters when this happened. But I had to keep it down because everyone else around me was heavily invested into it.
I'm sure. Love or hate, they had to watch. I get it.
Yeah. So anyways, Kylo Ren finds her and destroys her Wayfinder that she finds in the ship, asking her to join him to kill Palpatine. The two then have what could have been a spectacular lightsaber battle outside of the fallen Death Star before Leia, back on her planet, dies and reaches out to Kylo, distracting him enough for Rey to stab him. However, she uses her new healing powers to make sure he doesn't die, and then heads for Exegol in Kylo's ship after making a quick stop at the island where Luke died to get in the last film to get Leia's lightsaber. Boy, was that a quick cameo.
And fucking Finn running out there to like, what's he gonna do? Like he ran to save her, and he's like, Rey, and like Rey's in the middle of a goddamn Jedi fight. This is above your pay grade, Finn. You need to fucking chill. And like, what was the point? Okay, look at that later, but I don't know what I was supposed to do with his character throughout all three movies. The first movie set up that he was the Jedi. That was changed. Cool, I can dig it. Like, all right, let's see what happens. But I left these movies thinking like, what are you doing? Who are you?
You know what? You're not alone in that. And even Rian Johnson didn't really do much with developing his character based on his history any further than J.J. Abrams did. He really is, in the end, just this wonderful concept that is never explored even an inch of depth into what could be possible with a former stormtrooper turning on the Empire.
Exactly. And then you brought in the lady who's like, oh, I'm a former stormtrooper too, and now we were like stolen and we're raised to do this. Now we're fighting. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I thought, oh, well, they're gonna end up together because I have the exact same past as you, and we're
both black.
Yeah, that was like, we're the same color. I'm like, oh, okay, so that's how we're gonna play it, Star Wars. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So after Rey gets Leia's lightsaber and the heads for Exegol, Kylo is then visited by the ghost of Han Solo. By the way, it doesn't make any fucking sense. He's not attached to the Force.
This bothered me. This was when I knew, like, the whole movie was just kind of up to that point. But when his ghost showed, or whatever, I'm a memory. Fuck you. You just hugged a memory. I've done enough drugs to know you have to be on something to make that happen. But it's like that, like what are you doing? Why? I don't need, like, this movie was so saccharine, syrupy, sweet, feel good fucking bullshit. What was I supposed to do with that? Like, no, you don't get to like have your ghost dad, R.I.P. Bill Cosby, show up and be like, oh no, it's cool. You're still my son. I love you, even though you killed me. It's fine. No, like, that was dumb. That was such a weird, dumb turn for the Kylo Ren, who I liked Kylo Ren. I liked Adam Driver in these movies. I thought he did a good job. He was weird as shit the whole film. He seemed emotionally unstable in like the best way possible. Loved it. Loved the idea behind it. And I can understand the idea of him becoming good, like, or even just becoming gray rather than, black or white, or dark or light, whatever. Mm-hmm. But like, it was like, oh, I heard my mom's voice and my fucking dead dad's ghost is here. Okay, I'm good now. Fuck you. And then throwing your lightsaber. Oh my God, brilliant move, asshole. That worked out real well until Rey saved your ass.
Like, what was the point of that? Do red lightsabers immediately make you Sith? I mean, it kind of just seems like it's a color at this point.
Yeah, and it's going to happen in another movie or 5. Someone's going to like dig it up.
Oh,
It'll
definitely.
be that'll be the thing. Mm.
Yeah. Um, so yeah, he throws his lightsaber into the ocean and reclaims his name as Ben Solo. And as this is happening, Palpatine is unveiling his grand plan. In something that desperately needs some better explanation, it's revealed he constructed hundreds of Star Destroyers that are all equipped with Death Star lasers. So, like in The Force Awakens, when they just went with, how about we make a bigger Death Star as its grand plan? Rise of Skywalker goes with hundreds of little Death Stars. And to show how
I
powerful the ships are, they go and blow up Kijimi, which at this point in the series, blowing up a planet has lost its effectiveness.
It really has.
Like in The Force Awakens, they blew up 6 planets at once. And then in Rogue One, we were on a planet as an underpowered Death Star shot it. You're not going to top that.
Yeah, I don't. And the fact that like the planet destroying lasers really looked just like a bigger gun,
It did. It looked like
just looked
something
like
out of Austin Powers.
yeah, it looked really like it looked like I made it, and that's never a good sign in the movie.
So yeah, so hundreds of Death Stars now. Anyway, Rey at this point makes it to the Sith planet and learns that Palpatine wants her to kill him so he can transfer his spirit into her. Never mind the entire film he sent Kylo Ren out to kill her. I guess it's just he always figured that Rey was going to be more powerful than him, and that was the easiest way to get her to him. I'm going to assume that was the thought process on that. Otherwise, it doesn't really work.
Yeah, and also kind of jumping back a little bit, but when
Yeah.
Rey confronts her dark side, which
Yes.
which was just the same thing Luke did, and then the same thing from Splinter of the Mind's Eye, which is a fun Star Wars book. What was the deal with the double lightsaber? That was never explained or brought up again. Was that just be like, hey, maybe I'll have 2 lightsabers? Because it kind of looked like a butterfly knife, but a lightsaber.
I believe that was for the action figure. like I honestly don't know either. It had to have been from the action. I guess because
Sure.
at one time he had a Padawan or an apprentice who had a dual lightsaber, so maybe she should have 2 too. But it was obviously just to make her look cool.
Yeah, I did
For
like
the
she
toy.
got like she got Bilbo Baggins' face when he saw the ring again for a second. That was fun.
Yeah, she did. So anyways, where was I? As she is contemplating going to the dark side, the Resistance has followed her path to Exegol and engages in honestly one of the most spectacular looking space battles in the sequel trilogy. A small number of ships trying to take down all these mini Death Stars. As I told Necro when we were talking about it, if there was any time for Star Wars Rogue Squadron to be revived, it's this fucking space battle.
Yeah.
Because it's just, I would love to fucking see this, even if it's on, like PC only, and you have to have the most powerful, graphics card, whatever, to fully render everything that's in this scene. Oh fuck, I would love to play this.
Yeah, it reminded me a bit of the first time when we were playing Shadows of the Empire, the old N64 game. And I'm sure it looks like trash today, but when we were kids, the final big space battle in the game felt this epic. It was, the music was all that John Williams kind of like German orchestral score, and it was this huge battle, and it took me back to that moment, and it was a really good. It was a highlight of the film, other than that little droid fixer guy.
Yeah, absolutely. But there is this one moment before, like the really, really good moment that it's so silly to me. So they're trying to find the Star Destroyer that is the lead ship, that if they can disable, it will stop the other ships in their place. And so Finn, in the ship that he is in, he's just like looking out at all of these ships, spots it, points to it, and suddenly everyone knows which of the hundreds of ships that are around him that he's talking about. Like, there's no coordinates given. There's nothing. There's nothing to identify this ship among the other ones. It's just he sees it, points on it, and suddenly, oh yeah, that's the one he's talking about, because I can totally see where he's pointing.
Yeah, and it was just like this one little bit hanging off the ship. Like I don't. I'm like, how did you see that?
Well,
I
I
mean, it
think
was.
I think it's part of what they hinted out throughout the entire film is that Finn too is also force sensitive.
Yeah,
So that was one of the theories I saw on it. But in the theater, it was such a dumb moment.
full of it,
Yeah.
full of it. So yeah.
But it does lead to what is perhaps the best shot in this entire film, which is when the cavalry arrives. Earlier in the movie, a distress signal is put out, and Lando Calrissian is sent to round up anybody who would willingly fight with them to destroy the Emperor and his ships. And so, as the battle reaches its apex, you just have this sudden shot of hundreds of resistance ships filling the sky, and it's just spectacular. And it also makes you wonder, where the fuck were these people for the last 3 movies?
Well, they were too scared to fight. That was the thing. That was, remember how the Empire wins is by thinking you're all alone.
Yes, that is true. Boy, and they did so much to show that they're not alone in the first 2 films. I mean, fuck. I mean, the last movie ended with like 9 people alive, and suddenly there's now just thousands of ships coming in.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, where did he go to? I forget. Like, I know it was just like they put out a distress call, but like, did he just go to like the like galaxy's biggest Walmart and just sit in the parking lot? Like, how did he find people?
I'm going to assume, just because this movie is obsessed with the original trilogy, that he went to Hoth, and they just all met up at Hoth.
Sure. Had a quick breve
there.
latte and then headed out. Yeah.
So anyways, back in Exegol, Ben Solo reaches Palpatine's temple, and using his Force phone call powers with Rey, he's able to get a lightsaber and defeat Palpatine's forces to reach Rey.
All right, so this goes back to him throwing the lightsaber into the sea. So he just throws his lightsaber into the sea. Cool. Then he like goes to Exegol, meets up with the Knights of Ren, who I think it's under assumption that he trained. I did like them, even though they were kind of pointless.
Yeah.
Other than to look cool, kind of like, hey, we're like leftovers from that Mad Max movie everyone loved.
They're a great idea that wasn't fully explored.
Yeah, not at all, because it's they all had like one guy had like a giant cleaver and one guy had this like weird club, and they all had different weapons, and I like that a bit. They were awful at killing an unarmed man. I do want to point that out. And I did really like when she like teleported the lightsaber to him, whatever force phone call. When he kind of like he grabbed it, there was a moment where he sort of like, let's try again. I did enjoy that, but that fight, which I thought would have been really cool, was over very quickly with very little impact, and he seemed to just not care that he was killing these people he trained or anything. So but he's good now, so it's fine. I don't know. And
it was really dark too, so it wasn't even like a visually entertaining fight.
Yeah.
So after he kills them, he reaches to where Palpatine and Rey are, and then Palpatine begins sucking the life force out of them and says they're a dyad in the Force, which never explained.
What the fuck did that mean, man?
I have no clue.
Like, are they gray Jedis? I just like, okay.
I guess they're just connected, but that's about as far as it went. It's like,
Sure.
they're making Force phone calls with one another. They're texting with their minds. Yeah, of course they're connected, but sure, dyad. Let's call it something.
Yeah, sure. What, like the famed dyad of the Force?
Yes. Who can forget all the times they mentioned the dyad of the Force in all of the 8 movies that preceded this one? So he tosses Kylo Ren aside, and then he has the unrestrained power of the Sith flowing through him, and Rey has some Jedi voices in her mind, and also 2 lightsabers, which is enough to overcome his lightning attack, and maybe, I don't know, who knows with this fucking series, finally kill Palpatine and then also herself.
Yeah, I will say that my favorite Palpatine moment was when he, like, I have all the power of the Sith and the Jedi, and he sent like that Force lightning storm straight into the sky.
Oh yeah,
I did like as a like power move. That was really cool looking. It didn't, I mean, they just sort of like shorted out the ships. I would have assumed it would have blown them up, but I guess you can't kill everybody that easily. And like, who were all the people in that weird stadium? Like the Sith, who were all those fucking people? There were like 12,000 people in the audience watching this. Who were
Why did they build a stadium? That's my question.
That's a really good question.
Why does this
And it
have to
was
be
so
done in front of someone?
Yeah. Also, this was just Return of the Jedi, the Emperor's final battle. Return. It was like literally the same thing. The
Yeah.
Emperor, you can see the space battle going on. You're talking about it. Force lightning, same fucking thing, man. Like y'all had no clue what you were doing. No
Yeah.
clue.
Well, no, they had a clue. The clue was, let's just remake this movie, but put it with these characters.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
So anyways, Ben Solo emerges from the hole he was thrown into and transfers some of his life force into Rey, reviving her. The two share a kiss, don't know why. And now that he has redeemed himself, Ben Solo can die because in the Star Wars universe, so long as you help kill a bad guy, you never have to face any of the consequences for your actions.
And when they kissed, I was so happy. I was like, oh my God, they're going to fuck right there. I was like, yes, hell yeah. Like, y'all have this weird, intense force connection, all this shit. Yeah, fucking get married, have 1,000 little weird gray Jedi babies. That's awesome. And then, no, I'm going to fucking turn into a ghost immediately, like, and clothes fall down on the ground. Oh,
Yeah.
man, it's so dumb.
And the only thing more awkward than their kiss was the lesbian kiss that happened a little bit later, which is approximately 2 seconds long. Short enough to be cut out of the film for when it's shown in Asian and Russian and Middle Eastern audiences. So, yeah, that's pandering. I believe that is virtue signaling, and that was dumb. Just dumb.
Also, why couldn't it have been like two aliens? Like it could have, why couldn't it have been two weird looking, half spider, half like when you drop a marshmallow on the bathroom floor and it rolls around for a second? Why couldn't they have kissed?
Well, it should have been Poe and Finn because it was just hinted at this entire time.
Oh boy, that would have been fun. Or Baby Yoda and that fucking droid dude.
Babu Frick.
Yeah, I'm never gonna remember that guy's name, but absolutely.
So at this point, the universe celebrates. The movie not so subtly points out that Lando Calrissian is totally Janna's father. And then Rey returns to where it all started on Tatooine. She finds Luke's old home. A stranger comes across and asks her name, and she replies, Rey Skywalker. And at that point, I was like Jerry Seinfeld in the movie theater, just throwing my hands up. I'm done. I'm walking out of here. It's the end of the movie, so obviously I'm done. But honestly, before that, when they gave Chewie his medal, I wanted to throw my soda at the screen. I've never seen a movie so desperate for me to like it and to fail so miserably at achieving that goal that this movie is like, it's the Millhouse of Star Wars films.
It constantly reminds you that it's Star Wars and there's a legacy to Star Wars. And I hate that. I hated it so much. It's we don't need to be sold on this. Just tell a story. Which, I mean, I guess was the problem is they didn't have a story to tell to begin with. But my hope in the future, because clearly there's going to be more of these movies. I'm hopeful that in the future, new characters, their own stories to tell. We're not tied to the legacy of the Skywalkers and the Solos and stuff. That they can actually fucking plan this shit out, man, and give us the next generation of Skywalkers and all, but without all the bullshit behind it. But just the new Star Wars for a new generation beyond just this.
There are obviously more films planned. I'm pretty sure Rian Johnson still has his trilogy that he was given either before or after The Last Jedi that he, I guess, pitched to Kathleen Kennedy and she liked it. But the guys behind the Game of Thrones, they are out for their trilogy. So Star Wars has taken like a 2 or a 3 year break, and it's kind of unclear what the next movie is going to be. I'm not really like going to sit here wondering and speculating about it because I think I'm kind of done with caring about big AAA films, big blockbuster tentpole films anymore. But this one in particular, like Rise of Skywalker had like the most tumultuous development of any Star Wars film, because you originally had Colin Trevorrow, who made those shitty Jurassic World movies. He was going to co-write and direct it. And then he left in September of 2017, which is like just over 2 years ago, for him to leave.
Wow.
And then Disney asked Rian Johnson. He said no. And then J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio came. So it really wasn't a lot of time to go from starting a script to getting the film to print and editing it and putting it in theaters. And I think that shows in the movie.
Yeah, it really does. That explains a lot to me.
It is a rushed movie. As we said earlier, the scenes with Leia kind of don't work as well as I would hope they did, and it sucks that they tied Rose Tico to always be on screen with Leia because it completely shorthanded her character. But it was just kind of following in the tradition of what this sequel trilogy has done, and that's waste characters. General Hux, wasted. Maz Kanata, wasted. Captain Phasma, wasted. Constable Zuvio never even appeared on screen, but he got an action figure.
And I don't even know who that is, so there you go. You said Captain Phasma. That bummed me the fuck out because I remember in that trailer, fucking honking tall, goddamn silver stormtrooper armor with the red cape, and I'm like, oh shit, this is like some Imperial Boba Fett stuff here. Cool, I'm into it. Man, what's this story? Found out it's that really tall woman, from Game of Thrones. Fucking cool. What's going to be her story? Apparently, you're just getting kicked down a goddamn garbage chute. And that's I completely forgot about her, which is a shame because that's a really cool fucking character, man.
She easily the best design of any of the characters from this trilogy. I think is Captain Phasma. I like the design of Kerry Russell's character, but again, pointless character, does nothing for this film. If she and her little cohorts had not been in this at all, it would not have affected the movie whatsoever.
Not even a little bit. And every time I think of Kerry Russell, I just think of that hot tub footage of her having that threesome with her husband and that other lady. So,
are you sure it's Kerry Russell, not Rebecca Gayheart?
Oh, no, you're right. Good point. Yeah. Yep, they are interchangeable in my mind. Never mind. Sorry.
Both have curly hair, both white. But her husband, that was McSteamy from, I can't remember his name, but he's gorgeous. Is
that the guy from Mystic Pizza?
Oh no, I think I'm gonna have to look up his name now because it's gonna be on my head. There's McDreamy.
Star Wars, huh?
Yeah. Mark Sloan. No, that's his character name.
Wait, there's a McDreamy and a McSteamy?
Eric Dane, that's what it is. Yeah. McDreamy was the guy from Can't Buy Me Love.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I don't know why I can't remember anyone's names, but anyway, Star Wars.
I will say that it's the same actor who played Palpatine as in the original movies, right?
Yes.
That guy, I love that dude. I think that guy has one of the best gigs in cinema history of playing this ridiculous fucking villain, and he did a great job.
He did,
and he's fun, and I love Palpatine, the little withered hands, Death Star, all that shit he does. I love it. It's so stupid and fun, and he, like, you can clearly tell when George Lucas back in the day was designing this character, he wanted like the movie serial villains he grew up with, but personified as like an evil sorcerer. And I just kudos to him for really selling that role, and he will go down in history as one of the maybe his like only famous. I mean, he's probably had other roles, but that's obviously or clearly his most famous. But kudos to him for selling it so well.
Well, I mean, it's like the Margaret Hamilton who played the Wicked Witch. Like, she's so good in that role that even though she had other roles, like, I'm just going to remember her for that. I'm just going to remember him from this because, like you said, he's so perfect. Even though there was no goddamn reason for him to be in this film other than J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio couldn't decide what kind of film to make, so they just wanted to remake Return of the Jedi. He at least did a good job in it, and I will give him that.
Yeah, very much so.
So this go ahead.
We can't forget Rey's new lightsaber.
Oh, the yellow one? That's right.
Yeah. That's now. Is it yellow or is it just the color of light?
That's a good question. I'm going to go with it's piss yellow.
It is.
She made it by peeing into a lightsaber.
Well, first off, let's Rule 34 that right now. That is, out of all the colors of lightsabers, and I'm partial to blue because I'm a boy. But I like blue. Red can be fun. Green can fuck right off. Purple is great.
Sam
yellow,
Jackson's purple lightsaber.
That was so good. Yellow is maybe the ugliest just other than orange is the ugliest color known to man, but a yellow lightsaber. Ugh. Why? Just come on.
No, I agree. I would have rather had it been like rainbow colored than fucking yellow.
No, if it was a rainbow colored lightsaber, fuck yeah, man. I am into that.
No, you know what would be great if it was red and white, like one of those barbershop poles. It was just spinning.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Oh, it'd be so good.
But like the most succinct criticism I read about this film and kind of the whole trilogy together, it came from Chris Kohler with his discussion on Jason Schreier, where he said, and I'm paraphrasing this a bit, The Last Jedi is a movie that respects the Star Wars universe enough to ask questions about it. Rise of the Skywalker is a movie that idolizes the Star Wars universe and will only handle it with kid gloves.
That's perfect. Yeah,
that really is.
I really enjoyed Last Jedi. I know not everyone did. I liked that it was a bummer. I liked that it made people question these characters they grew up with and loved. I liked that when we may have already talked about this, I forget, but the when Yoda like fucking threw down some lightning on those texts, which pissed me the fuck off when they brought those back. I hated that so much. Like
I didn't hate that she grabbed the text at the end of that movie because like all of this stuff was very important to her, so it made sense to me. But were those at all in this film? I don't remember them.
No, it was she was looking at the text when she was like, guys, I think I know a way we can find Exegol.
Oh,
like she got that from the text, which pissed me off, man. It's like, it's just dumb. But I liked what Last Jedi tried to do.
I did too.
I hated what this movie did to erase that. It just set everything back to status quo. And I'm not saying you got to like shake up the Star Wars universe and make it like, okay, and now everybody's a gay lesbian robot unicorn. I don't know, just try something new. Like, it's okay, you know. These movies have been around 40, almost 50 years. I can't do math, but it's it just, I don't know. It bummed me out because it felt boring. Yeah, and common.
Say what you will about The Last Jedi, and I know people either love it or hate it, but at least that movie pushed the Star Wars franchise in a direction we had not been before. Like there are a million possibilities that directions that they could have gone at the end of that film, and they just chose the one that is a MacGuffin-filled retelling of Return of the Jedi. I mean, at the end of this movie, are we in any different place than we were at the end of Return of the Jedi? I mean, a few more of the heroes are dead and there's like 7 less planets, but it's basically we're right back to square one.
Yeah. And I don't think that's where they wanted to end up, but I think they didn't really have a choice. That's why I'm really hopeful that the next set of movies, you know, whenever those come about, they can do something different, like tell a different story. And, you know, don't feel like you got to throw in 2 ladies kissing to prove a point.
Yeah.
And don't feel like you got to reverse everything just to save, you know, to make sure everybody's all happy. I didn't want to be happy in this movie. I wanted to feel like a journey had come to an end. And sometimes that's a good thing and you feel relieved. And sometimes that it breaks your heart a little. And I think with a trilogy of this magnitude, you know, with the legacy of this series, it should have been a bit of both. I didn't feel that way. I felt nothing when Kylo Ren died other than pissed because it was stupid. When he kissed Rey, I was like, oh my God, that's like, yeah, they're connecting the Force. Of course, they're in love. And it's like the weird Force love. Sure, that sounds bad. But, you know, like it's but like I made sense. And then he's like, no, I'm dead. But even when he like did his Force healing, I knew he was going to die. With this fucking bullshit ass me throw you across the room. That's such a bitch way to go too.
No, I agree with you. I was completely mad when he died, the way that they killed him, his entire arc in this whole movie. And you mentioned the story that you wanted a good story. And honestly, I don't know who was to blame. I don't know if it's Kathleen Kennedy or J.J. Abrams. I don't know which of them deserves more of the blame here. But I honestly feel like from a storytelling point of view, the last 5 years have been an enormous waste. Like, yeah. I enjoyed The Force Awakens. It's okay. I really like The Last Jedi. Especially, I went and actually rewatched it after watching this. I'm like, wow, this is such a much better directed film.
Yeah.
But Disney just spent $750 million to retell a story George Lucas told in the 70s and 80s. What a waste. What a waste of resources, time.
Yeah, and but I keep saying going forward with this new movie, so if they're good, I will say this, and I don't believe you've watched it, but The Mandalorian, right? You haven't seen it?
No, not yet.
All right. Well, I won't speak on it too much, but I'll say this: that we watched all 8 episodes in I think like 3 days, and it made me in those 8 episodes feel like a kid again watching Star Wars. And Baby Yoda, all that meme shit, sure. Baby Yoda is fun and very cute to like a suspicious level. Like that thing was designed by an AI intelligence. Nothing should be that universally precious. But like just everything about it is what I wanted those Star Wars movies to be. And I will like Mandalorian going forward. Fuck yeah, man. That was amazing and wonderful and interesting and engaging. And there was heart and there was sadness and there was really cool shit. But like to go from like seeing this, like the main fucking trilogy to watching these 8 episodes of this, what essentially has a kind of like 90s Renegade with Lorenzo Lamas vibe to it, kind of,
yeah.
But Star Wars. And it's like, and that's the better show. Like, oh man, that's telling. But it is just a really phenomenal show. But I'll stop at that.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing that, and I would like to have a little bit of Star Wars that doesn't disappoint me, because the fan reaction in the last one to the last one was really disappointing to me as a fan, and this one just as a movie, as a conclusion to the Skywalker saga, to just peter out at the end with this rushed, underwritten fan service of a movie. It's a terrible way to end the saga.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And that's really disappointing when we think about where we were when The Force Awakens was about to come out or just come out, and how there was like everyone in the fucking world was so excited again for Star Wars, for like Star Wars on the big screen and all. And I'm glad that they're, that Rey exists. I'm glad that little girls have a character they can look at and go, yeah, okay. They're 5 and 6 and 7-year-old girls right now where like they're going to be, 25 and 30 and 40, and they'll still have that love for Rey. That's cool.
Yeah.
I like that. Same thing like when Black Panther came out. I was like, cool. All right. But I'm sorry, like in the grand realm of like Star Wars is a story and the legacy, that this is what we get.
Yeah.
That's, and I can only hope that going forward, they start telling their own stories without the tie to all this bullshit. And no fucking let Palpatine be dead. Like yes. So many, like there are so many other, like make up a Sith, make up a dude. He's half octopus. He's half crow. He's Octocrow. His name is Darth. Let me look around my room right now. Darth Headphonicus. And he's just, there. Fucking boom. I give you a new Darth Lord, Sith Lord. Go run with it, guys. Do something, man.
And please, for the love of God, expand the Star Wars universe and the Jedi to not be just these 2 fucking families. Because the prequel trilogy was this extremely wide and varied world of Jedi that gets bottlenecked down to the Skywalkers and Palpatines, because that's what the original trilogy was. And then this movie does zero to change that.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
All right, you have any last thoughts on this film, Occams?
Like he's not with the bang, but with a whimper, and then I'm bummed out. And I didn't hate it, but boy howdy, I sure didn't like it.
I was talking to my nephew about it because he went and saw it on Saturday, and he really enjoyed it. He also really likes the Transformers film, so that's the audience you're getting right there.
Yeah.
But
sounds about right. Oh, and that little droid dude for life, forever. Little droid dude.
Not BB-8, but Zero.
Oh no, that thing I did kind of like it, but sort of in the way of like you watch those videos on YouTube and it's like this starving pit bull's now this lady's best friend, like that kind of way. No, I mean the little droid fixer guy. You keep saying his name and it just leaves my head immediately.
Babu Frick for life.
Babu Frick for life. I want that on a t-shirt.